In the annals of cinematic history, there are sequels that merely exist as pale imitations of their predecessors, and then there are those rare gems that manage to capture lightning in a bottle not once, but twice. The Mummy Returns, released on May 4th, 2001, falls somewhere in this complex spectrum of sequeldom, a film that simultaneously embraces the swashbuckling adventure spirit of its 1999 predecessor while ambitiously expanding its mythological scope, for better and for worse. When Stephen Sommers' original The Mummy burst onto screens in 1999, it did so with an unexpected ferocity that caught both audiences and critics off guard. Here was a film that dared to be unapologetically fun, blending horror elements with comedy, romance with action, and ancient Egyptian mythology with modern sensibilities. It resurrected the classic Universal Monsters franchise for a new generation, trading the atmospheric dread of the 1932 Boris Karloff original for something far more energetic and spectacle-driven. The film's success, grossing over $416 million worldwide against a modest $80 million budget, was a testament to its broad appeal. It wasn't just another monster movie. It was a rollicking adventure that reminded audiences of the sheer joy of cinematic escapism. Brendan Fraser emerged as a bona fide action star. Rachel Weisz proved she could handle both intellectual gravitas and physical demands, and Arnold Vosloo created one of the most memorable screen villains of the late 1990s. So when Universal Pictures came knocking for a sequel, the expectations were sky high. Could Sommers and his team recapture the magic that made the original so beloved? With the return of a core cast, Fraser, Weisz, John Hannah, Oded Fehr, Arnold Vosloo, and Patricia Velasquez, be enough to satisfy audiences hungry for more mummy mayhem? And what of the controversial addition of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a professional wrestler making his feature film debut in a role that would require extensive CGI transformation? The Mummy Returns answers these questions with a resounding, if somewhat messy, yes. It is a film that operates on a grander scale than its predecessor, with more action sequences, more elaborate visual effects, and a more complex narrative structure that weaves together multiple timelines and mythologies. It is also a film that occasionally buckles under the weight of its own ambitions, sacrificing character development and narrative coherence for spectacle and set pieces. This comprehensive exploration will delve into every aspect of The Mummy Returns, from its intricate plot and character dynamics to its production challenges, visual effects innovations, critical reception, and lasting legacy. We will examine the film's place within the broader context of early 2000s blockbuster cinema, its influence on subsequent entries in the franchise, and its enduring appeal among fans of the adventure genre. Through this extended analysis, we will discover that The Mummy Returns, for all its flaws and excesses, remains a fascinating artifact of its time, a film that captures the maximalist spirit of turn-of-the-millennium Hollywood filmmaking while paying homage to the classic adventure serials and monster movies that came before it. Part 1. The Narrative Tapestry, a tale of two timelines, the ancient prologue, 3067 BC. The film opens with a prologue that immediately establishes its mythological ambitions, transporting audiences back to 3067 BC, a time when Egypt was still a realm of gods and monsters, where mortal ambition could summon divine intervention, and where the boundaries between the living and the dead were permeable. We are introduced to Matthias of Akkad, a warrior who would become known throughout history as the Scorpion King. His army has been defeated, and he finds himself dying in the unforgiving desert of Shir, a location that would become central to the film's narrative. In his final moments, Matthias makes a desperate pact with Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the dead and judgment. He offers his soul in exchange for the power to conquer his enemies. Anubis, true to the capricious nature of Egyptian deities, accepts this bargain, but with a cruel twist that would define the tragic arc of the Scorpion King. The god conjures an oasis and a golden pyramid from the desert sands, and presents Matthias with an army of jackal-headed warriors whose ferocity knows no bounds. With this supernatural force at his command, Matthias proceeds to conquer Egypt, fulfilling his end of the bargain, but the gods always collect their debts. Once his enemies are defeated and his conquest complete, Anubis claims Matthias' soul, transforming him into a monstrous creature, a scorpion-human hybrid that would guard the Golden Pyramid for eternity. The Jackal army returns to the underworld, awaiting the day when they would be summoned again by the bracelet of Anubis. This prologue serves multiple narrative functions. First, it establishes the stakes of the film. If the Scorpion King is awakened and the army of Anubis is summoned, the world will face an apocalypse of biblical proportions. Second, it introduces the central MacGuffin of the film, the Bracelet of Anubis, an artifact that connects the present-day narrative with ancient mythology. Third, it sets up the eventual climax of the film, where Rick O'Connell must confront the Scorpion King in single combat. The prologue also establishes the film's tone. It is darker and more mythologically dense than its predecessor, dealing with themes of divine judgment, damnation, and the consequences of making deals with supernatural forces. The visual palette is stark and dramatic, with the golden sands of the desert contrasting with the dark, ominous presence of Anubis and his jackal warriors, the present day, 1933 AD. The narrative then jumps forward approximately 4,000 years to 1933 AD, 9 years after the events of the original The Mummy. The world has changed dramatically in the intervening years. The Roaring Twenties have given way to the Great Depression, and the geopolitical landscape is shifting toward an inevitable world war. But for our heroes, the biggest changes are personal rather than historical. Rick O'Connell and Evelyn Carnahan have married, started a family, and settled into a comfortable life in London. They have an 8-year-old son, Alex, who inherited his father's adventurous spirit and his mother's intellectual curiosity. The couple's treasure-hunting days seem behind them, or so they believe. Evelyn has channeled her passion for Egyptology into writing books, while Rick has tried to trade his gun and whip for a more domestic existence. But old habits die hard. When an expedition to Egypt reveals the Bracelet of Anubis, Rick and Evelyn cannot resist the pull of adventure. This decision sets in motion a chain of events that will test their marriage, their parenting skills, and their physical endurance. The family dynamic established in the opening scenes is one of the film's greatest strengths. Fraser and Weisz have palpable chemistry, and their banter feels natural and lived in. They play off each other with the ease of a couple who have weathered countless adventures together. Freddie Both, as Alex, manages to hold his own against the veteran actors, bringing a precocious energy to the role that makes the audience believe he is indeed the son of Rick and Evelyn. The family's comfortable life is disrupted when Alex, enthralled by the bracelet's supernatural allure, puts it on, and it locks onto his wrist with an unbreakable grip. The bracelet begins to show him visions, directing him toward Shire. This development introduces an urgency to the narrative. If the bracelet is not removed before the coming of the Scorpion King, Alex will be killed, and the army of Anubis will be unleashed upon the world. The villain's grand plan. The film introduces a new cadre of villains who seek to harness the power of the Scorpion King for their own purposes. Leading this group is Baltus Hafez, a museum curator who has dedicated his life to the study of ancient Egyptian mythology. Unlike Imhotep, whose motivations were driven by love and vengeance, Hafez is motivated by a cold, calculated ambition. He wants to command the army of Anubis and use it to reshape the world according to his vision. Hafez's cult includes several memorable henchmen. Lochna, played with menacing intensity by Adewale Akinyi-Egbaje, serves as the group's enforcer, a physical threat who relishes violence. But the most intriguing member of the cult is Mila Nyes, played by Patricia Velasquez, who reprises her role from the original film but with a twist. Mila is the physical reincarnation of Anck-Su-Namun, the mistress of Pharaoh Seti I and the secret lover of Imhotep. In the original film, Anck-Su-Namun was murdered, and her lover attempted to resurrect her through the dark arts, leading to his own mummification and damnation. Now, her soul has found a new vessel in the body of Mila Nyes, who serves as the high priestess of the cult. This reincarnation subplot adds a layer of tragic romance to the narrative. Imhotep, once resurrected through the Book of the Dead, is driven by the same love that doomed him 3,000 years ago. He seeks to reunite with his beloved to complete the ritual that was interrupted all those centuries ago. Mila/Anck-Su-Namun, for her part, seems initially consumed by the cult's ambitions, but as her past life memories surface, she rediscovers her love for Imhotep. The villain's plan is complex and multi-layered. First, they must resurrect Imhotep, using the Book of the Dead and the blood of Evelyn O'Connell, who is, as we later discover, the reincarnation of Princess Nefertiri. Second, they must use Imhotep's power to defeat the Scorpion King, thereby claiming command of the army of Anubis. Third, they must use this army to reshape the world in their image. What makes this plan particularly clever, from a narrative standpoint, is the way it forces the heroes and villains into a complex web of alliances and betrayals. Imhotep is not entirely loyal to Hafez. His primary goal is to reunite with Ankhsu-Naiman, and he will betray anyone to achieve this. Ankhsu-Naiman, in turn, is torn between her loyalty to the cult and her love for Imhotep. Hafez, meanwhile, believes he can control Imhotep and the Scorpion King, a hubris that will ultimately prove his undoing. Part 2. The characters and their Journuaranui the O'Connell family. Heart of the adventure: Rick O'Connell, the reluctant hero. Brendan Fraser's portrayal of Rick O'Connell is the anchor of the entire Mummy franchise. In the original film, Rick was a classic action hero archetype, a former legionnaire and treasure hunter with a quick wit, a quicker trigger finger, and a heart of gold. He was the kind of hero who could trade quips with villains, charm the ladies, and punch his way out of any situation. And The Mummy Returns, Rick has evolved. He is still the charming rogue we fell in love with in the first film, but he now has additional dimensions. He is a husband, a father, and a man trying to leave his adventuring days behind, or at least to temper his recklessness with parental responsibility. His love for Evelyn and Alex is palpable, and his determination to protect them drives much of the film's action. But Rick hasn't changed entirely. He still relies on his instincts more than his intellect, preferring to shoot first and ask questions later. He still has a tendency to charge into danger without fully considering the consequences. And he still has a remarkable ability to survive situations that would kill any normal person. A survival skill that becomes increasingly cartoonish as the film progresses. Fraser brings his signature physicality to the role. Whether swinging from ropes, fighting hordes of mummies, or engaging in hand-to-hand combat with Imhotep, Fraser commits fully to the action. He performs many of his own stunts, and his athleticism adds a visceral quality to the action sequences. The character arc for Rick in this film is more subtle than in the original. He begins the film as a man who believes he has left his dangerous past behind. By the end, he has embraced his role as a protector of his family, and by extension the world. His climactic battle with the Scorpion King is not just a physical challenge, but a psychological one. He must prove that a mortal man, a father and husband, can defeat a creature empowered by the god of death itself. Evelyn O'Connell, from scholar to warrior. Rachel Weisz's Evelyn was one of the breakout elements of the original The Mummy. As a librarian and scholar with more intelligence than physical prowess, she provided a grounding presence in the midst of the supernatural chaos. Her journey from bookish Egyptologist to daring adventurer was one of the film's most satisfying arcs. In The Mummy Returns, Evelyn has completed her transformation. She is now a confident, capable woman who can hold her own alongside her husband in a fight. She has written books on her experiences, proving that her intellect remains sharp. She is also a devoted mother, fiercely protective of her son Alex. But this new confidence comes with a price. Evelyn is more reckless than she was in the original film, willing to take risks that put herself in danger. This recklessness is driven by her love for her family. She will do anything to save them, but it also leads to moments where she seems to ignore her own survival instincts. The most significant development for Evelyn in this film is the revelation that she is the reincarnation of Princess Nefertiri, the daughter of Pharaoh Seti I and the keeper of the bracelet of Anubis. This revelation adds a mythological dimension to her character, connecting her to the ancient past and giving her a destiny that transcends her marriage to Rick. Weisz handles this revelation with grace, bringing a regal quality to Evelyn that feels earned. The moment when she unlocks her past life memories is one of the film's most effective dramatic beats, as Weisz conveys the shock and awe of discovering one's true identity. The film also gives Evelyn more physical challenges. She engages in sword fights, escapes from deadly traps, and holds her own in combat against trained warriors. Weisz trained extensively in martial arts for the role, and her efforts pay off in the action sequences. Her fight with Ankhsu-Naiman, the original and the reincarnated version, is one of the film's highlights, a showcase of athleticism and choreography. Alex O'Connell, the son who carries the legacy. Freddie Botha's Alex O'Connell is a character who could have easily been annoying, the precocious child who constantly puts himself in danger and requires rescue. but both brings a charm and vulnerability to the role that makes Alex more than just a plot device. Alex has clearly inherited his parents' best traits. From Rick, he gets a sense of adventure, a quick wit, and a willingness to take risks. From Evelyn, he gets intellectual curiosity and a strong moral compass. He is brave beyond his years, standing up to villains and facing supernatural threats with a determination that would make his parents proud. But Alex is also a child. He makes mistakes, acts impulsively, and sometimes fails to understand the gravity of the situations he finds himself in. His decision to put on the bracelet of Anubis is driven by childish curiosity, but it has world-ending consequences. His subsequent kidnapping forces Rick and Evelyn to confront their limitations as parents. They cannot protect Alex from everything, no matter how much they want to. The relationship between Alex and his parents is the emotional core of the film. Rick's determination to rescue his son drives the plot forward, and Evelyn's maternal instincts are a powerful motivating force. The film also explores the tension between adventure and family, how the same instincts that made Rick and Evelyn successful treasure hunters can put their family at risk. The returning hero's Jonathan Carnahan, the lovable scoundrel. John Hannah's Jonathan Carnahan was a scene stealer in the original The Mummy, and he continues to provide comic relief in the sequel. Jonathan is Evelyn's brother, a charming rogue who is always looking for a quick fortune and a quick escape. He has a knack for finding himself in trouble, and an even greater knack for talking his way out of it. In The Mummy Returns, Jonathan has a more significant role than in the original film. He accompanies the O'Connells on their adventure, providing not only comic relief, but also moments of genuine heroism. His possession of the Golden Scepter, which turns out to be the mystic spear of Osiris, makes him instrumental in the film's climax. Hannah brings a delightful energy to the role. His timing is impeccable, and his chemistry with Fraser and Weisz feels natural and unforced. He embodies the kind of charming, slightly useless character who somehow always manages to save the day, a tradition that goes back to classic adventure films. Jonathan's arc in the film is subtle but significant. He begins as the same self-interested rogue we met in the original, but by the end, he has proven himself to be a true member of the O'Connell family. His decision to help Rick retrieve the Spear of Osiris, even at great personal risk, shows a depth of character that was only hinted at previously. And his final act of swiping the diamond from the pyramid's peak, a moment of comic relief that undermines his heroic deeds, is perfectly in character. Ardith Bay, the Guardian's Burden. Oded Fehr's Ardith Bay was one of the most popular elements of the original The Mummy. As a Medjay warrior, a member of a secret society dedicated to preventing the resurrection of Imhotep, Ardith was a mysterious, stoic figure who added gravitas to the film's mythology. In The Mummy Returns, Ardith returns to continue his sacred duty. He is the guardian of the Bracelet of Anubis, tasked with ensuring that it never falls into the wrong hands. When Alex puts on the bracelet, Ardith must intervene, leading the Medjay in a desperate race to prevent the apocalypse. Fehr brings the same intensity to the role that he did in the original film. His Ardith is a warrior of few words, but his actions speak volumes. He is willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good, and his loyalty to the O'Connells, despite their involvement in the chaos, is unwavering. The film expands Ardith's role, giving him more screen time and more action sequences. He leads the Medjay warriors in battle against the army of Anubis, and his combat skills are showcased in several impressive fight scenes. He also serves as a moral compass, reminding Rick of the weight of the decisions they are making. The villains and their motivations Imhotep, love and damnation. Arnold Vosloo's Imhotep was the highlight of the original The Mummy, a villain with a tragic backstory, a relatable motivation, and a terrifying presence. In the sequel, Imhotep returns, resurrected by the cult of the Scorpion King, and determined to complete the mission that was interrupted 3,000 years ago. Vosloo remains compelling in the role. He brings a tragic dimension to Imhotep, a man driven by love that has been twisted into obsession. His love for Anck-Su-Namun is the only thing that matters to him, and he will destroy the world to be reunited with her. This makes him a more sympathetic villain than Hafez. He is not motivated by power or ambition, but by the most basic human emotion. The film explores the theme of love as both salvation and damnation. Imhotep's love for Anck-Su-Namun is what doomed him in the first place, and it is what drives him to continue his dark path. When Anck-su-namun abandons him to save herself, Imhotep's despair is palpable. Vosloo conveys the character's heartbreak in a single, powerful moment, the realization that everything he has sacrificed has been for nothing. But Imhotep is also a terrifying villain. His powers are more extensive than in the original film. He can control the elements, summon monsters, and command the dead. Vosloo conveys a sense of otherworldliness that makes Imhotep seem truly inhuman, even as he is driven by very human emotions. Anck-su-namun, the reincarnated lover. Patricia Velasquez returns to the franchise in a dual role, as both Mila Kunis, the high priestess of the cult, and as Anck-su-namun, the reincarnated lover of Imhotep. This duality is one of the film's most interesting narrative devices. Mila is initially presented as a cold, calculating figure devoted to the cult and its goals. She is a warrior and a leader, respected by her followers and feared by her enemies. But as the film progresses, Mila's past life memories begin to surface, and she rediscovers her love for Imhotep. Velasquez brings a fierce intensity to both roles. As Mila, she is dangerous and commanding. As Anck-su-namun, she is passionate and tragic. The transition between the two personalities is seamless, a testament to her acting ability. The character's arc is one of the film's most tragic. Anck-su-namun's love for Imhotep was what led to his death and damnation in the original film. In the sequel, she has a chance to redeem herself, to save the man she loves. But when the moment comes, she chooses self-preservation over sacrifice. Her decision to abandon Imhotep in his moment of need is a betrayal that echoes the original sin, a pattern of selfishness that ultimately leads to both of their downfalls. Baltus Hafez, the ambitious cult leader. Alan Armstrong's Baltus Hafez serves as the primary human antagonist of the film, a figure driven by a thirst for power that knows no bounds. Unlike Imhotep, who is motivated by love, Hafez is motivated by ambition. He wants to command the army of Anubis, not to save the world or to fulfill a romantic destiny, but simply to reshape it in his image. Hafez is a more traditional villain than Imhotep, cold, calculating, and utterly ruthless. He has no redeeming qualities, no tragic backstory, no sympathetic motivation. He is a man who wants power, and he will do anything to get it. Armstrong brings a theatrical quality to the role. His Hafez is grandiose and melodramatic, a figure who seems to have walked out of a gothic melodrama. This performance style is appropriate for the film's tone. It is a movie that embraces excess, and Hafez is a fittingly excessive villain. Lochna, the enforcer. Adewale Akinnunyegbaje's Lochna serves as the muscle of the cult, a fearsome enforcer who relishes violence and intimidation. He is a more simple character than the other villains, defined primarily by his physicality and his loyalty to Hafez. Akinnunyegbaje brings a menacing presence to the role. His physical stature and intense demeanor make him a credible threat to the heroes. His fight scenes are among the film's most visceral moments, as he moves with a deadly grace that suggests years of training. Lochna's arc is straightforward. He serves his master, he threatens the heroes, and he is ultimately defeated. But Akinnunyegbaje's performance elevates the character beyond his function as a simple henchman. He is a memorable villain, one who adds depth to the film's rogues gallery. Part 3. The mythological Framework Egyptian mythology reimagined the gods of Egypt, Anubis and Osiris. The Mummy Returns draws deeply from Egyptian mythology, weaving ancient deities into its narrative fabric. Two gods are particularly central to the film's plot: Anubis, the god of death and judgment, and Osiris, the god of the afterlife and resurrection. Anubis is portrayed as a capricious and dangerous deity, one who is willing to grant power but demands a terrible price. His pact with the Scorpion King is a classic deal with the devil narrative, where the mortal gains temporary power at the cost of his eternal soul. This portrayal is rooted in actual Egyptian mythology, where Anubis was a guardian of the dead and a judge of souls, but the film takes creative liberties in presenting him as a more malevolent figure. Osiris, by contrast, is presented as a more benevolent deity. The Spear of Osiris, which is revealed to be Jonathan's golden scepter, is the only weapon capable of killing the Scorpion King. This connection to the god of resurrection and rebirth is thematically appropriate. The spear is a tool of redemption, a way to free the Scorpion King from his curse and send him back to the underworld. The film also references other Egyptian deities, including Seti and Isis, though these references are more superficial. The mythology serves primarily as a backdrop for the action, a framework that gives the narrative a sense of weight and significance. The Book of the Dead and the Book of Ammon-Ra, the books that were central to the original film, return in the sequel, serving similar functions. The Book of the Dead is used to resurrect Imhotep, just as it was in the original. The Book of Ammon-Ra, also known as the Book of the Living, is used to defeat him. The film presents these books as artifacts of immense power, capable of commanding the forces of life and death. The resurrection ritual is depicted with the same elaborate pageantry as in the original, with the chanting of ancient Egyptian and the summoning of supernatural forces. The Bracelet of Anubis. The Bracelet of Anubis is the film's central MacGuffin, an artifact that drives the plot and connects the various narrative threads. It is a golden bracelet that, when worn, provides a map to the oasis of Ahm and the golden pyramid of the Scorpion King. But the bracelet is more than just a plot device. It is a symbol of the connection between the present and the past, a physical link between the mortal world and the realm of the gods. When Alex puts it on, he becomes part of a destiny that was set in motion 4,000 years ago. The bracelet also serves as a countdown timer, adding urgency to the narrative. If it is not removed before the coming of the Scorpion King, Alex will be killed, and the army of Anubis will be unleashed. This ticking clock element keeps the tension high throughout the film. The Scorpion King, mythology and monster. The Scorpion King is a figure who exists at the intersection of history and mythology. He was a mortal warrior who achieved legendary status through his pact with Anubis. But his transformation into a monster, a scorpion-human hybrid, is a symbol of the corruption that comes from making deals with supernatural forces. The Scorpion King's appearance in the film is one of the most controversial elements. The CGI creature is a bizarre blend of human and scorpion features, with the actor Dwayne Johnson's likeness superimposed on a monster body. The result is a creature that is simultaneously impressive and ridiculous, a testament to both the ambitions and the limitations of early 2000s visual effects. The reincarnation and resurrection themes past lives and destiny. The concept of reincarnation is central to the film's narrative. Evelyn is revealed to be the reincarnation of Princess Nefertiri, keeper of the Bracelet of Anubis. Milanise is the reincarnation of Ankhsu-Namun, the mistress of Pharaoh Seti I and the lover of Imhotep. This reincarnation theme adds a layer of fate and destiny to the narrative. The characters are not just random individuals caught up in supernatural events. They are players in a cosmic drama that has been unfolding for millennia. Their actions are not just their own, they are the echoes of ancient patterns. The film explores the tension between free will and destiny. Evelyn is the reincarnation of Nefertiri, but she is also her own person, shaped by her experiences and her relationships. She chooses to embrace her past life identity, but she does so on her own terms, integrating it into her present personality. Resurrection as second chance. Resurrection is another central theme. Imhotep is resurrected from the dead, given a second chance at love and life. But this second chance is also an opportunity for redemption, a chance to break free from the patterns that doomed him in the first place. The film suggests that resurrection is not an automatic redemption, it is an opportunity, one that can be squandered. Imhotep's second chance is wasted because he cannot let go of his obsession. He repeats the same mistakes, choosing possession over genuine love, control over connection. Evelyn, by contrast, embraces her second chance. She chooses to integrate her past life identity into her present self, using it as a source of strength rather than a trap. This contrast highlights the film's thematic concern with the possibility of growth and change. Part 4. The action and SPC the set pieces. A tour de force of action, the opening expedition. The film opens with an expedition sequence that immediately establishes its adventurous tone. Rick and Evelyn, accompanied by their son Alex, are exploring the ruins of an ancient temple. The sequence is a callback to the first film, with the same sense of wonder and discovery. But this sequence also introduces the film's darker elements. The cultists are lurking in the shadows, and the Bracelet of Anubis is discovered, an artifact that will set the entire plot in motion. The sequence builds tension effectively, with the threat of violence always present beneath the surface. The London chase, one of the film's most memorable sequences, is the chase through London. Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan are pursued by cultists through the streets of the city, leading to a series of elaborate stunts and narrow escapes. The sequence showcases the film's commitment to practical effects. The filmmakers used real locations and real stunt performers, creating a sense of danger and immediacy that CGI alone could not achieve. The chase is frenetic and chaotic, a whirlwind of car crashes, gunfire, and hand-to-hand combat, the desert battle. The battle in the desert is the film's largest-scale action sequence. The Magi warriors face the army of Anubis, a horde of jackal-headed warriors that seem to emerge from the sand itself. The sequence is a visual feast, with armies clashing on a grand scale. The use of CGI is extensive in this sequence, with hundreds of digital warriors filling the frame. The effect is impressive, a testament to the capabilities of industrial light and magic, but it also feels somewhat weightless. The digital armies lack the physical presence of real actors, and the battle can feel more like a video game than a cinematic sequence. The pyramid interior. The interior of the Golden Pyramid is the setting for the film's climax. The set design is elaborate and atmospheric, with ancient traps and mystical elements. The sequence combines physical action with CGI elements as Rick faces the Scorpion King in a fight to the death. The fight choreography is impressive, with Fraser and the CGI creature engaging in a brutal struggle. The sequence is visceral and intense, a fitting climax to the film's non-stop action. The dirigible rescue. The dirigible rescue is one of the film's most memorable moments. Izzy, Rick's eccentric pilot friend, arrives in his repaired airship to save the O'Connells from the collapsing oasis. The sequence is a thrilling escape, with the dirigible swooping in at the last moment to snatch the heroes from certain death. The use of practical effects is impressive. The dirigible is a real, functional vehicle, and the filmmakers used it to create a sense of danger and excitement. The sequence is a perfect example of the film's blend of practical and digital effects. The choreography, martial arts, and mayhem the sword fights. The film features several sword fights, showcasing the actors' training in martial arts. Evelyn's fight with Angsu Naiman is a highlight, with both actresses performing impressive sword work. The choreography is fast and fluid, with each strike and parry feeling dangerous and consequential. The use of ancient Japanese martial arts adds a unique flavor to the fight sequences. The filmmakers wanted to create a different aesthetic than the first film, and the inclusion of these techniques adds visual interest. The hand-to-hand combat. Rick's fights are more brawling and brutal. Fraser performs many of his own stunts, and his physicality is a key element of his character. His fights are messy and desperate, with Rick using his fists and his wits to overcome his enemies. The Pygmy Mummy sequence. One of the film's most controversial sequences is the attack by pygmy mummies. The small, skeletal creatures attack the heroes in the jungle, creating a sense of claustrophobic terror. The sequence is a callback to the original film's swarms of scarabs, but the pygmy mummies are a new and even more unsettling threat. The use of CGI is extensive, and the pygmy mummies are not always convincing. Their movement is sometimes jerky and unnatural, breaking the illusion. But the sequence is effective in its intent. It creates a sense of overwhelming threat and comic absurdity. Part 5, the production JOURNEY development, building on success the genesis of a sequel. Following the unexpected success of The Mummy in 1999, Universal Pictures immediately began planning a sequel. The studio approached Stephen Sommers, the film's writer and director, within days of the original's release. Sommers had already been thinking about a sequel, even during the production of the first film. He wanted to expand the story, increase the scale, and create something that would surpass the original. Sommers' approach to the sequel was ambitious. He wanted to introduce new mythological elements, including the Scorpion King and the Bracelet of Anubis. He wanted to explore the backstory of the characters, revealing that Evelyn was the reincarnation of an ancient Egyptian princess. And he wanted to raise the stakes, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. The development process was relatively smooth. Sommers had a clear vision for the film, and Universal supported his ideas. The script went through several drafts, with Sommers refining the dialogue and the action sequences. He worked closely with the visual effects team at Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, to ensure that the digital elements would be seamlessly integrated. Expanding the mythology. One of Sommers' primary goals for the sequel was to expand the mythology of the franchise. He wanted to create a richer, more complex world, one that would support multiple films and spin-offs. The introduction of the Scorpion King was a key part of the strategy, a villain who could serve as the focus of his own film. Sommers drew from a wide range of sources for his mythology. He studied Egyptian religion and history, adapting elements that would work for his narrative. He also drew from classic adventure films, including Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Universal monster movies of the 1930s and 1940s. The result is a mythology that is simultaneously authentic and fantastical. The film's gods and monsters are rooted in actual Egyptian beliefs, but they are also exaggerated for dramatic effect. Sommers balances these elements effectively, creating a world that feels grounded in reality while still embracing the fantastic. The screenplay, balancing multiple plots. The screenplay for The Mummy Returns is complex, with multiple plot lines and characters. Sommers had to balance the family dynamic with the adventure elements, the romance with the horror, and the comedy with the action. One of the challenges was the number of antagonists. The film has several villains: Imhotep, Ankhsunaymun, Hafez, Lochna, and the Scorpion King, each with their own motivations and agendas. Sommers managed to keep them distinct and memorable, but some characters inevitably received less development than others. The screenplay also had to incorporate the reincarnation and resurrection themes. Evelyn's discovery that she is the reincarnation of Nefertiti is a major plot point, but it is introduced relatively late in the film. Sommers handled this reveal effectively, using it as a dramatic turning point in the narrative. Casting, assembling the ensemble, the return of the core cast. Sommers was committed to reuniting the cast of the original film. He knew that the chemistry between Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, and Oded Fehr was a key part of the original success, and he wanted to recapture that dynamic. Fraser was enthusiastic about returning to the role. He had enjoyed making the first film, and he saw the sequel as an opportunity to explore new facets of his character. Weisz was also eager to return, though she was concerned about the physical demands of the role. She trained extensively in martial arts and fight choreography, preparing for the more action-oriented scenes. Hannah was delighted to return as Jonathan, the comedic relief. His role was expanded in the sequel, and he embraced the opportunity to develop his character further. Fehr, as Ardith Bey, also returned, with a more significant role in the narrative. Freddie Both, the young actor. The casting of Freddie Both as Alex O'Connell was a crucial decision. The character needed to be charming and brave, but also believable as the son of Rick and Evelyn. Both had no prior acting experience, but he impressed Sommers with his natural talent and charisma. The young actor had an interesting backstory. He had auditioned for the role of Harry Potter, but he chose to pursue The Mummy Returns instead. His performance is one of the film's highlights, a testament to his natural ability and the quality of the direction. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the wrestling star's debut. The casting of Dwayne Johnson, then known primarily as a professional wrestler, was a controversial decision. Johnson had no acting experience, and his character required extensive visual effects. But Sommers was impressed by Johnson's charisma and physical presence, and he believed that the wrestler could bring a unique energy to the role. Johnson embraced the challenge of the role. He trained extensively in fight choreography and spent hours in makeup and prosthetics. The physical demands of the role were significant, but Johnson was committed to delivering a memorable performance. The decision to cast Johnson proved to be a prescient one. The Mummy Returns launched his acting career, and he would go on to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. The film also led to a spin-off film, The Scorpion King, which focused on his character. The supporting cast. The supporting cast includes several notable actors. Adewale Akinyi-Agbaje brings a menacing presence to the role of Lochna, the cult's enforcer. Aylin Armstrong is appropriately theatrical as Hafez, the ambitious cult leader. Sean Parks provides comic relief as Izzy, Rick's eccentric pilot friend. Each of these actors brings something unique to the film, enriching the ensemble and adding depth to the narrative. Filming, from Morocco to London, the desert locations. Principal photography for The Mummy Returns began in the deserts of Morocco. The filmmakers were drawn to the country for its stunning landscapes and its connection to the original film. Morocco provided the perfect backdrop for the ancient Egyptian settings, with its dramatic sand dunes and rugged terrain. The production also filmed in Jordan, using locations such as the gorges at Petra. These locations provided a unique aesthetic, different from the more familiar Egyptian landscapes. The filming in Morocco was challenging. The weather was extreme, with intense heat during the day and freezing temperatures at night. The crew had to adapt quickly, working in difficult conditions to achieve the required shots. The studio work, the production, then moved to Shepperton Studios in England, where sets for the ancient pyramids and temples were constructed. The use of sound stages allowed for greater control over the filming environment, and the filmmakers could create elaborate sets that would have been impossible in the desert. The studio work included the interiors of the Golden Pyramid, the Temple of Shere, and the London scenes. The sets were intricately designed, with detailed hieroglyphics and ancient artifacts. The London locations. The film also shot scenes in various locations around London. The British Museum served as a backdrop for some scenes, while Tower Bridge was used for a chase sequence. The use of real locations added authenticity to the film's 1930s setting. The challenges of filming. The production faced several challenges. The weather was unpredictable, with sandstorms and extreme temperatures making filming difficult. The visual effects sequences required precise coordination between the live-action and CGI elements, a complex and time-consuming process. The crew adapted to these challenges with professionalism and creativity. They used a combination of practical effects and digital elements to create the film's spectacular visuals. Visual effects, pushing the boundaries, the role of industrial light and magic. The visual effects team, led by John Burton at Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, aimed to surpass the effects of the first film. Advances in computer-generated imagery, CGI, allowed for more intricate and realistic creatures, such as Imhotep. The filmmakers focused on creating a seamless integration between the live-action sequences and CGI, using detailed camera tracking and motion capture technology. Burton highlighted the challenge of animating creatures with organic realism and developing characters like Imhotep, whose interactions with other characters were more detailed than in the original film. Arnold Vosloo faced the challenge of acting alongside these digital elements, often reacting to creatures and environments that were only added in post-production. The CGI evolution from the first film. The visual effects in The Mummy Returns represent a significant evolution from the first film. The 1999 original had used CGI to create the supernatural threat of Imhotep, a mummy with the ability to manipulate sand and control the dead. The sequel expands on these effects, creating more complex and integrated visual sequences. One of the most significant changes is the increased interaction between actors and CGI elements. In the original film, the CGI elements often appeared as separate, floating effects. In the sequel, the CGI is more fully integrated, with actors interacting with digital creatures and environments. This evolution is most apparent in the portrayal of Imhotep. In the original film, the mummy was largely a standalone digital effect. In the sequel, Imhotep is a hybrid of practical and digital effects, with Vosloo interacting with the digital elements more directly. The Scorpion King controversy. Despite advancements in CGI, the Scorpion King's appearance was widely criticized for its awkward facial features and uncanny valley effect. The visual effects team faced challenges due to limited reference material of Dwayne Johnson, as his WWE commitments prevented detailed facial scans. As a result, the digital representation of Johnson lacked accuracy, standing out as one of the film's most criticized visual effects, despite improvements in other characters like Imhotep. The uncanny valley effect, the feeling of unease that occurs when a computer-generated character looks almost but not quite human, is particularly pronounced in The Scorpion King. The creature's face is a distorted version of Johnson's, with unnatural skin tones and an expression that is simultaneously fierce and awkward. The Pygmy Mummies. Another notable CGI achievement is the Pygmy Mummies. These small, skeleton-like creatures attack the heroes in the jungle, creating a sense of overwhelming threat. The animation is more fluid than some of the other digital elements, and the Pygmy Mummies are integrated effectively into the live-action footage. The Army of Anubis. The Army of Anubis is one of the film's most impressive visual effects. The army consists of thousands of jackal-headed warriors, each animated individually. The effect is awe-inspiring, creating a sense of overwhelming power. The animation of the army is complex, with the warriors moving in formation and engaging in combat. The quality of the animation varies, with some shots being more convincing than others. Music: the sonic landscape. Alan Silvestri's score. The score for The Mummy Returns was composed by Alan Silvestri, who created a new musical landscape for the sequel. Silvestri did not reuse Jerry Goldsmith's themes from the first film, choosing instead to create a fresh sonic identity. Silvestri's score is sweeping and epic, reflecting the film's grand ambitions. It incorporates Egyptian musical elements, including traditional instrumentation and melodies, but it also includes modern orchestral techniques. The result is a score that is both traditional and innovative. The main theme is memorable and heroic, used to underscore the action sequences and the character moments. The score also includes darker, more menacing themes for the villains, emphasizing their otherworldly nature. The music is a key element of the film's atmosphere. It creates a sense of wonder and excitement, building tension during the action sequences and adding emotional weight to the dramatic moments. Forever May Not Be Long Enough. The film also features the song Forever May Not Be Long Enough by the band live. The song is used over the end credits, providing a contemporary counterpoint to the orchestral score. The song's lyrics are thematically appropriate, exploring themes of love and mortality that echo the film's narrative. The performance is passionate and energetic, fitting the film's tone. The inclusion of a popular song was a departure from the first film, which had used a more traditional score. But the song fits with the film's more commercial sensibility, appealing to a broader audience. The soundtrack album, The Mummy Returns, original motion picture soundtrack, was released on May 1st, 2001, by Decca Records. The album contains Silvestri's score, as well as the live song. It was well received by critics and fans, praised for its grand, sweeping style and its effective integration of Egyptian musical elements. The soundtrack album is a valuable accompaniment to the film, allowing audiences to appreciate the score on its own terms. It includes a diverse range of musical styles, from the heroic main theme to the darker, more atmospheric passages. Part 6. The release and RECPTION. The theatrical release. The marketing campaign. The marketing campaign for The Mummy Returns was extensive and ambitious. The studio released a teaser trailer in November 2000, attaching it to screenings of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. However, the trailer was pulled due to complaints from parents about its intense and frightening nature toward children. This controversy only increased anticipation for the film. The marketing campaign emphasized the film's scale and spectacle. The posters and trailers focused on the action sequences, the visual effects, and the return of the beloved characters. The campaign also highlighted Dwayne Johnson's debut, capitalizing on his popularity as a professional wrestler. The opening weekend. The Mummy Returns was released in North America on May 4th, 2001, playing in 3,401 theaters upon its opening. It had the fourth widest release of any film at the time, after Mission Impossible 2, Scream 3, and The Perfect Storm. The film was a commercial success from its opening day. It earned $23.4 million on its first day of release, then made $26.8 million the day after. This made it the highest Friday and Saturday grosses, surpassing both Toy Story 2 and The Lost World, Jurassic Park respectively. Later that year, those records were simultaneously given to Planet of the Apes and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. During its opening weekend, the film made $68.1 million, making it the second highest opening weekend of all time, only behind The Lost World, Jurassic Park. It surpassed Hannibal to have the highest opening weekend for a 2001 film, joining Monsters, Inc., Rush Hour 2, and Planet of the Apes as one of the only 4 films of that year to make $60 million in their first 3 days of release. The film also became one of 4 consecutive Universal Films of the Year to cross the $40 million in an opening weekend, with the others being American Pie 2, The Fast and the Furious, and Jurassic Park 3. The box office run. Upon opening, the film reached the top of the box office, beating out Driven. For its second weekend, it collected a total of $33.7 million, outgrossing A Knight's Tale in the process. The Mummy Returns would remain in the #1 spot at the box office for a total of 2 weeks until Shrek took it. The film grossed $203 million in the United States and Canada box offices and $233 million internationally, grossing over $436 million worldwide. This made it the seventh highest grossing film of 2000 and won at the 25th anniversary re-release. The film was re-released for its 25th anniversary on March 27, 2026. During the first 3 days of the 25th anniversary re-release, The Mummy Returns grossed $596,080 at 1,430 theaters. This re-release was a testament to the film's enduring popularity and its continued appeal to audiences. The critical reception, the mixed reviews. The Mummy Returns received mixed reviews from critics. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a 46% rating based on 141 reviews, with an average rating of 5.3/10. The site's consensus states, "In The Mummy Returns, the special effects are impressive, but the characters seem secondary to the computer-generated imagery." On Metacritic, it has an average rating of 48 out of 100 based on 31 reviews, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A- on an A+ to F scale. The critical divide was notable. Some critics praised the film's visual effects and its commitment to action and spectacle. Others criticized the film's emphasis on style over substance, arguing that the characters were secondary to the special effects. Roger Ebert's critique. Roger Ebert, who awarded the first film 3 stars, gave the second film only 2. He wrote, "The mistake of The Mummy Returns is to abandon the characters and to use the plot only as a clothesline for special effects and action sequences." Ebert's critique was significant, as he had been one of the more vocal supporters of the original film. Ebert's review highlights a common complaint about the film, its emphasis on spectacle over character. While the original film had been praised for its balance of action and character, the sequel was criticized for sacrificing narrative coherence in favor of visual effects. James Berardinelli's assessment. James Berardinelli of Real Views gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4, calling it hollow, lightweight entertainment, not unpleasant, but far from the Sommers' definitive action/adventure flick. Berardinelli's review was more measured than Ebert's, acknowledging the film's entertainment value while criticizing its lack of substance. Kenneth Turan's praise. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times gave the film a positive review, praising its constant plot turns, cheeky sensibility, and omnipresent action sequences. Turan's review highlighted the film's strengths, including its sense of humor and its commitment to action. Todd McCarthy's assessment. Todd McCarthy of Variety praised the non-stop action of the final hour, saying that it bursts with visual goodies. McCarthy's review was among the most positive, emphasizing the film's visual spectacle. Renee Rodriguez's critique. Renee Rodriguez of the Miami Herald was more critical, writing, "12-year-olds weaned on Nintendo may not mind, but anyone who remembers the tactile thrill of an alarmingly real boulder rolling down on Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark will be left cold." Rodriguez's review highlighted the film's reliance on digital effects, contrasting it unfavorably with the practical effects of classic adventure films. Joe Morgenstern's negative review. Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal gave the film a negative review, saying that it has all of the clank but none of the swank of the previous version. Morgenstern's review was among the harshest, criticizing the film's lack of style and its over-reliance on action. Charles Taylor's critique. Charles Taylor of Salon.com was also not impressed, calling The Mummy Returns everything the first Mummy was fun for not being. Taylor's review highlighted the film's seriousness and its emphasis on mythology, in contrast to the original film's more lighthearted tone. The accolades. Despite the mixed critical reception, The Mummy Returns received several award nominations, including Saturn Awards, nominated for Best Fantasy Film, Best Makeup, Aileen Seaton, Nick Dudman, and Jane Walker, Best Special Effects, John Andrew Burton Jr., Daniel Jeanette, Neil Corbould, and Thomas Rossetter, and Best Young Actor, Freddie Both. Young Artist Awards, nominated for Best Young Actor, Freddie Both. Kids' Choice Awards, nominated for Favorite Movie Actor, Brendan Fraser. Teen Choice Awards, nominated for Choice Action Movie Actor, Brendan Fraser. Choice Movie Villain, The Rock, which he won, and Choice Action Movie. Golden Trailer Awards, nominated for Best Title Sequence. Golden Reel Awards, nominated for Best Sound Editing, Effects and Foley, Leslie Schatz, Malcolm Fife, and Sibeli, John Olive and Jonathan Klein. Empire Awards, nominated for Best British Actress, Rachel Weisz. Stinker's Bad Movie Awards, nominated for Worst Supporting Actor, The Rock, which he won. These nominations reflect the film's mixed reception. It was recognized for its technical achievements, but it was also criticized for its more excessive elements. Part 7. The Legacy and IMPACT the box office phenomenon. The Mummy Returns was a commercial success, grossing over $436 million worldwide. This made it the seventh highest grossing film of 2001, a year that included blockbusters such as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and Shrek. The film's success was a testament to the popularity of the franchise. The original The Mummy had been a surprise hit, and the sequel built on that success. The film's global appeal was significant, with strong box office performances in multiple international markets. The film's success also solidified the franchise's place in popular culture. The Mummy films became a recognizable brand, with a distinct visual style and tone. The influence on the franchise. The Mummy Returns had a significant influence on the franchise's future. The film's success led to a spin-off film, The Scorpion King, which was released in 2002. The film also set the stage for a third Mummy film, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, which was released in 2008. The film's expansion of the mythology also influenced the franchise's direction. The introduction of the Scorpion King and the Bracelet of Anubis opened up new storytelling possibilities, allowing the franchise to explore different time periods and mythologies. The spin-off, The Scorpion King. The spin-off film The Scorpion King was released on April 19, 2002. It focused on the origins of the Scorpion King, exploring his rise to power before the events of The Mummy Returns. The film starred Dwayne Johnson, reprising his role from the sequel. The film received mixed reviews, but was a moderate commercial success. It grossed over $165 million worldwide, less than The Mummy Returns, but still a respectable performance. The film spawned its own franchise, with direct-to-video sequels featuring different actors in the title role. These sequels, The Scorpion King 2, Rise of a Warrior, The Scorpion King 3, Battle for Redemption, The Scorpion King 4, Quest for Power, and The Scorpion King, Book of Souls, continue the story of Matthias, exploring his further adventures. The sequel, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. An indirect sequel to The Mummy Returns was released on August 1, 2008. The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor featured Brendan Fraser and John Hannah reprising their roles, but Rachel Weisz was replaced by Maria Bello as Evelyn, and Luke Ford played the now-adult Alex O'Connell. The film received generally negative reviews, and was the lowest-grossing film of the trilogy. It grossed over $401 million worldwide, a respectable total, but a significant decline from the previous films. The film's reception was influenced by several factors. The recasting of Evelyn was controversial, with many fans missing Weisz's presence. The shift in setting, from Egypt to China, was also criticized, with some viewers finding the new mythology less compelling. The legacy of the franchise. The Mummy franchise has had a lasting impact on popular culture. The films are remembered for their blend of action, horror, and comedy, and they are often cited as examples of the blockbuster filmmaking of the early 2000s. The franchise also had a significant influence on the adventure film genre. The Mummy films helped to revive the adventure genre, proving that there was still an audience for swashbuckling, globetrotting adventures. The films also inspired a new generation of filmmakers who grew up watching Rick O'Connell's exploits. The franchise's legacy is also tied to the careers of its stars. Brendan Fraser became a major action star, while Rachel Weisz went on to become a critically acclaimed actress and an Academy Award winner. Dwayne Johnson's film career was launched by the franchise, and he has since become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. The cultural impact. The Mummy Returns has had a lasting cultural impact, with its imagery and themes resonating with audiences around the world. The film's depiction of Egyptian mythology has been both celebrated and criticized, with some praising its creativity and others questioning its accuracy. The film's visual style has been influential, with its use of CGI and practical effects inspiring other films. The film's blend of genres, action, horror, comedy, and romance, has also been influential, with many films attempting to recapture the magic of the Mummy franchise. The future of the franchise. A new film featuring Fraser and Weisz reprising their roles is in development and is scheduled to be released on October 15, 2027. It was originally scheduled for a May 19, 2028 release. This new film represents a continuation of the franchise, with the original stars returning to their roles. The announcement has been met with enthusiasm from fans, who have been eager for more Mummy content. The return of Fraser and Weisz is seen as a positive development, with the actors' chemistry a key element of the film's success. Part 8. A comprehensive critical analysis thematic analysis. Love and sacrifice, the power of love. Love is a central theme of The Mummy Returns, explored through multiple relationships. Rick and Evelyn's love is portrayed as a source of strength, a bond that allows them to overcome the supernatural threats they face. Their love is mutual and balanced, with each partner supporting the other. Imhotep and Anck-Su-Namun's love is portrayed as more tragic and destructive. It is a love that is possessive and obsessive, a love that leads to destruction rather than salvation. Their love is a shadow of Rick and Evelyn's, a distorted reflection that highlights the purity of the protagonist's relationship. The film also explores the love between parents and children. Rick and Evelyn's love for Alex is a driving force throughout the film, motivating their actions and shaping their decisions. Their willingness to sacrifice themselves for their son is a testament to the power of parental love. The cost of sacrifice. Sacrifice is another central theme. Rick is willing to sacrifice himself to save his family, and Evelyn is willing to risk her life to save him. Imhotep, by contrast, is unwilling to sacrifice himself for Anck-Su-Namun. His love is ultimately selfish, a love that demands rather than gives. The film suggests that sacrifice is a necessary element of true love. Real love requires the willingness to put the needs of others above one's own. Rick and Evelyn embody this principle, while Imhotep and Anck-Su-Namun fail to live up to it. The nature of evil. The film's villains represent different aspects of evil. Hafez embodies ambition, a cold desire for power that is willing to sacrifice anything and anyone. Imhotep embodies obsession, a distorted love that leads to destruction. The Scorpion King embodies desperation, a willingness to make any deal to achieve a goal. The film suggests that evil is not a single, monolithic force, but a complex phenomenon that takes many forms. Each villain has a different motivation, a different path to darkness. Style and technique. The visual language, the use of CGI. The film's use of CGI is both a strength and a weakness. On one hand, the visual effects are impressive, creating a world that is rich and imaginative. The army of Anubis, the pygmy mummies, and the Scorpion King are all visually striking creations. On the other hand, the CGI can be unconvincing at times, breaking the illusion and reminding the audience that they are watching a digital creation. The use of CGI is most effective when it is integrated with practical effects. The scenes that combine live-action footage with digital elements are more convincing than those that rely solely on CGI. The action choreography. The action choreography is a highlight of the film. The fight scenes are well designed, with a combination of martial arts, swordplay, and gunplay. The actors' physical training is evident, and the choreography is fast and fluid. The action sequences are also well-paced, building tension and creating a sense of momentum. The film's non-stop action can be exhausting, but it is also exhilarating. The visual aesthetic. The film's visual aesthetic is distinctive, combining the exotic landscapes of Egypt with the stylized sets of the studio. The use of light and color is effective, creating a sense of atmosphere and mood. The production design is elaborate, with detailed sets and costumes. The film's aesthetic is rooted in the classic adventure films of the 1930s and 1940s, but it also incorporates elements of modern filmmaking. Narrative structure. The challenge of multiple plots, the balancing act. The film's narrative structure is complex, with multiple plot lines and characters. Sommers balances these elements effectively, but some aspects of the narrative are less developed than others. The multiple timelines, the past and the present, are woven together effectively. The film's prologue establishes the stakes, and the present-day narrative connects to the past through the bracelet of Anubis and the reincarnation of the characters. The character arcs. The character arcs in the film are generally well developed. Rick's journey from reluctant hero to devoted father is satisfying, and Evelyn's discovery of her past life identity is a powerful moment. The supporting characters also have their moments. Jonathan's heroism in the climax is a highlight, and artist's loyalty to the O'Connells is touching. The pacing. The film's pacing is relentless, with action sequences occurring at a rapid pace. This creates a sense of excitement and momentum, but it can also be exhausting. The film rarely pauses to allow the audience to catch their breath, and some of the quieter moments are rushed. The pacing is most effective in the first half of the film, when the narrative is still being established. In the second half, the action becomes more frenetic, and some of the character moments are lost in the chaos. The unfulfilled potential, the missed opportunities. The Mummy Returns has significant unfulfilled potential. The film's ambitious mythology and its talented cast suggest a film that could have been even better than it is. One missed opportunity is the exploration of Evelyn's past life identity. The revelation that she is Nefertiti is a powerful moment, but it is rushed, and the implications are not fully explored. A more extended exploration of this theme could have added depth to the narrative. Another missed opportunity is the relationship between Imhotep and Anck-su-namun. Their tragic love story is compelling, but it is overshadowed by the action sequences. A more focused exploration of their relationship could have added emotional weight to the film. The lessons learned. Despite its flaws, The Mummy Returns offers valuable lessons for filmmakers. The film's emphasis on action and spectacle, while entertaining, can come at the expense of character development. A better balance between the two elements could have resulted in a more satisfying film. The film also demonstrates the importance of practical effects. While CGI is a valuable tool, it can never fully replace the physical presence of real elements. The film's most impressive sequences are those that combine both techniques. Part 9. The technical ACHNTS visual effects innovations, the digital characters. The visual effects team at ILM created several digital characters for the film, including Imhotep, the Pygmy Mummies, and the Scorpion King. Each character required a different approach, reflecting their different roles in the narrative. Imhotep's digital representation was the most complex. The character needed to be realistic and expressive, with detailed facial features and fluid movement. The team used motion capture technology to capture Arnold Vosloo's performance, then translated it into the digital character. The Pygmy Mummies were also challenging. These small, skeleton-like creatures required detailed animation to bring them to life. The team studied the movement of real skeletons, then exaggerated the motion to create a sense of menace. The Scorpion King was the most controversial digital character. The team struggled to create a convincing representation of Dwayne Johnson, and the final result was criticized for its uncanny valley effect. The integration of live action and CGI. The integration of live action and CGI was a significant challenge. The team had to ensure that the digital elements matched the lighting and perspective of the live action footage. They used detailed camera tracking and motion capture technology to achieve this integration. The most successful integrations were those that combined practical and digital elements. The sequences with the army of Anubis, for example, used real actors in the foreground and digital warriors in the background. This created a sense of scale and realism. The practical effects. Despite the emphasis on CGI, the film also used practical effects. The pyrotechnics, the makeup, and the set design were all created using traditional techniques. These practical effects added a sense of physicality to the film, grounding the digital elements in reality. The use of practical effects was particularly effective in the action sequences. The explosions, the fight scenes, and the stunts all had a tactile quality that digital effects alone could not achieve. Sound design and audio. The atmospheric soundscape. The sound design of The Mummy Returns is atmospheric and immersive. The soundscape includes the whispers of the desert wind, the roar of supernatural forces, and the clatter of ancient weapons. The sound design enhances the film's atmosphere, creating a sense of otherworldliness. The use of Egyptian musical elements, including traditional instrumentation and melodies, adds to the film's exotic feel. The Foley work. The Foley work in the film is detailed and effective. The sounds of footsteps, gunfire, and physical contact add to the film's realism, grounding the supernatural elements in a tangible reality. The mix and balance. The audio mix is well balanced, with dialogue, sound effects, and music each occupying their own space. The mix ensures that the dialogue is never lost in the action, and that the music enhances rather than overwhelms the scenes. The Mummy Returns was released during a period of significant change in Hollywood. The late 1990s had been a boom time for blockbusters, with films like Titanic, The Phantom Menace, and The Matrix redefining the possibilities of cinematic spectacle. The early 2000s saw a continuation of this trend, with films becoming bigger, more expensive, and more effects-driven. The Mummy Returns was part of this trend, a film that sought to push the boundaries of visual effects and action. The competition. The Mummy Returns was released in a competitive summer movie season. The film's main competition included Shrek, Pearl Harbor, Jurassic Park 3, and Planet of the Apes. Each of these films was a major release, and they competed for the same audience. Despite the competition, The Mummy Returns performed well. Its strong opening weekend and its sustained box office performance demonstrated its appeal, the franchise model. The film was part of a broader trend toward franchise filmmaking. Studios were increasingly investing in franchises, recognizing that a successful film could generate multiple sequels and spin-offs. The Mummy franchise was a successful example of this model. The original film was a hit, the sequel was a bigger hit, and the franchise spawned a spin-off and a second sequel. The influence of classic adventure films The Indiana Jones legacy. The Mummy Returns is heavily influenced by the Indiana Jones films. The character of Rick O'Connell is a similar archetype, a globe-trotting adventurer who uses his wits and his fists to overcome supernatural threats. The film also shares the Indiana Jones film's blend of action, humor, and mythology. The tone is similar, with a balance of excitement and comedy. The Universal Monster tradition. The film is also connected to the Universal Monster tradition. The original The Mummy, 1932, was one of the classic Universal Monster films, alongside Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman. The 1999 The Mummy and its sequel are spiritual descendants of these films, updating the monster movie for a new generation. The films preserve the Gothic atmosphere while adding modern action and effects. Part 11, the behind-the-scenes details. The production challenges the weather. The production faced significant weather challenges. The filming in Morocco was plagued by extreme heat and sandstorms, which made shooting difficult. The crew had to adapt quickly, using protective equipment and adjusting schedules to cope with the conditions. The weather also affected the actors. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz had to perform in intense heat, wearing heavy costumes and performing physical stunts. The conditions were demanding, but the actors rose to the challenge. The visual effects complexity. The visual effects sequences were complex and time-consuming. The team at ILM worked for months to create the digital elements, integrating them seamlessly with the live-action footage. The complexity of the effects led to a tight production schedule. The team had to work quickly to meet the release date, and some of the effects were completed only weeks before the premiere. The budget. The film's budget was significant. The original The Mummy had been made for $80 million, a modest sum for a blockbuster. The Mummy Returns had a larger budget, reflecting the film's ambitions and the costs of the visual effects. The budget was allocated carefully, with the filmmakers prioritizing the action sequences and the visual effects. The marketing budget was also substantial, with the studio investing heavily in advertising. The cast and crew experiences Brendan Fraser. Fraser has spoken about his experience making the film. He performed many of his own stunts, and the physical demands of the role were significant. He enjoyed working with the cast and crew, and he has expressed pride in the film's achievements. Rachel Weisz. Weisz has also spoken about her experience. She appreciated the opportunity to play a more physically demanding role, and she enjoyed the training in martial arts. She has said that making the film was a positive experience, despite the challenges. Dwayne Johnson. Johnson has spoken about the role's significance in his career. It was his first film, and it launched his acting career. He has expressed gratitude for the opportunity, and he has praised the filmmakers for taking a chance on him. Stephen Sommers. Sommers has spoken about his vision for the film. He wanted to create a bigger, more ambitious sequel, and he is proud of the final product. He has acknowledged the film's flaws, but he has also defended its achievements. Part 12, the critical DEBT, the case for the film, the entertainment value. Supporters of The Mummy Returns argue that the film is entertaining and exciting. The action sequences are well crafted, the visual effects are impressive, and the performances are engaging. The film is a fun, thrilling ride, and it delivers on the promise of the original. the mythological depth. Supporters also argue that the film has mythological depth. The reincarnation and resurrection themes add complexity to the narrative, and the film's exploration of love and sacrifice is thought-provoking. The ensemble cast. The ensemble cast is another strength. Fraser, Weisz, Hannah, and Fair have excellent chemistry, and their interactions are a highlight of the film. The performances are engaging, and the actors bring their characters to life. The case against the film: the emphasis on spectacle. Critics argue that the film emphasizes spectacle over substance. The visual effects are impressive, but they are not enough to sustain the film. The characters are secondary to the action, and the narrative is sacrificed for the visual effects. The lack of coherence. Critics also argue that the film lacks coherence. The narrative is complex and convoluted, with multiple plot lines and characters that are not fully developed. The film's pacing is relentless, and the action sequences can be overwhelming. The unconvincing CGI. The unconvincing CGI is another criticism. The Scorpion King is the most notable example, but other digital elements are also problematic. The CGI can be distracting, pulling the audience out of the film. The reconciliation. Ultimately, The Mummy Returns is a film that divides opinion. It is a film that some viewers will love and others will hate. The film's strengths and weaknesses are both significant, and the viewer's enjoyment will depend on their tolerance for the film's excesses. The film is a product of its time, reflecting the blockbuster filmmaking of the early 2000s. It is a film that embraces spectacle and excess, and it will continue to have its supporters and detractors. Part 13. The future of the FRNCHZ, the new film in development. The announcement of a new Mummy film with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz reprising their roles has been met with enthusiasm from fans. The film is scheduled for release in 2027, and it represents a continuation of the franchise. The new film is a sign of the franchise's enduring popularity. Despite the mixed reception of the later films, the original Mummy films remain beloved, and the return of Fraser and Weisz is seen as a positive development. The potential for further expansion. The Mummy franchise has the potential for further expansion. The mythology is rich, and there are many stories to be told. The franchise could explore different time periods and mythologies, or it could continue the adventures of the O'Connell family. The success of the new film could lead to further films, continuing the franchise's legacy. The enduring appeal. The Mummy franchise has an enduring appeal. The blend of action, horror, comedy, and romance is a winning formula, and the characters are beloved. The films are a tribute to the classic adventure films of the past, and they will continue to be enjoyed for generations to come. Conclusion. The legacy of The Mummy Returns. The Mummy Returns is a film of contradictions, a sequel that expands the mythology of its predecessor while sacrificing some of its character development. A visual effects showcase that pushes the boundaries of CGI while occasionally falling into the uncanny valley. A commercial success that received mixed critical reviews. Yet for all its flaws, The Mummy Returns remains a beloved entry in the action-adventure genre. It captures the spirit of adventure that made the original film so popular, while expanding the world and raising the stakes. The chemistry between the cast members is undeniable, and the film's blend of action, humor, and horror is infectious. The film's legacy is complex. It launched the career of Dwayne Johnson, one of Hollywood's biggest stars. It spawned a spin-off franchise that continues to this day, and it cemented the Mummy franchise as a significant player in the blockbuster landscape. Looking back, The Mummy Returns is a film that reflects the ambitions and limitations of early 2000s blockbuster filmmaking. It is a film that embraces spectacle and excess, and it is unapologetic in its pursuit of entertainment. For audiences who value thrills and action, the film is a triumph. For those who prefer character and nuance, it is a disappointment. But the film's enduring popularity suggests that it has struck a chord with audiences. The Mummy films are a reminder of the power of cinematic escapism, the joy of losing oneself in a world of adventure and excitement. And for that reason, The Mummy Returns will continue to be enjoyed by audiences for years to come. Appendix A. Film Technical SPCIFICTO and S Production Details. Director, Stephen Sommers. Screenplay, Stephen Sommers. Producers, Sean Daniel, James Jacks. Executive Producer, Stephen Sommers. Production Companies, Alphaville Films, Relativity Media. Distributor, Universal Pictures. Release date, May 4th, 2001. Running time, 129 minutes. Budget, $98 million. Box office, $436 million. Technical credits. Cinematography, Adrian Biddle. Editor, Bob Duxay. Music, Alan Silvestri. Visual effects, Industrial Light and Magic. Visual effects supervisor, John Burton. Costume design, John Bloomfield. Production design, Alan Cameron. Main cast, Brendan Fraser as Rick O'Connell. Rachel Weisz as Evelyn O'Connell / Nefertiri. John Hannah as Jonathan Carnahan. Arnold Vosloo as Imhotep. Oded Fehr as Ardith Bey. Patricia Velasquez as Mila Nyes / Angsu Naaman. Freddie Both as Alex O'Connell. Dwayne Johnson as Matthias / the Scorpion King. Aylin Armstrong as Baltus Hafez. Adewale Akinnuye as Lochna. Sean Parks as Izzy Buttons. Bruce Byron as Red Willits. Joe Dixon as Jacques Clemens. Tom Fisher as Jacob Spivey. Aaron Appel as Pharaoh Seti. The Mummy Returns stands as a significant entry in the action-adventure genre, a film that embraces spectacle and excess while exploring themes of love, sacrifice, and destiny. It is a film that has aged in some ways and aged well in others, a product of its time that still resonates with audiences today. The film's legacy is secure. It launched the career of Dwayne Johnson, it spawned a spin-off franchise, and it cemented the Mummy franchise as a significant player in the blockbuster landscape. It is a film that will continue to be watched and enjoyed for years to come. As we look to the future of the franchise, with a new film in development featuring the original stars, we can appreciate the role that The Mummy Returns played in shaping the franchise's identity. It is a film that has its flaws, but also its strengths, and it remains a beloved entry in the Mummy canon. Ultimately, The Mummy Returns is a testament to the power of cinematic escapism. It is a film that invites audiences to leave their troubles behind and embark on an adventure, a film that reminds us of the joy of losing ourselves in a world of gods and monsters, heroes and villains, love and sacrifice. And for that reason, it will always have a place in the hearts of its fans. When Universal Pictures unleashed The Mummy upon unsuspecting audiences on May 7, 1999, few could have predicted the cultural phenomenon that would follow. The film, directed by Stephen Sommers and starring Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and Arnold Vosloo, was a rollicking adventure that paid homage to the classic Universal monster movies of the 1930s while infusing them with a modern sensibility. It was a film that didn't take itself too seriously, embracing its B-movie roots while delivering A-list spectacle. The original The Mummy was a gamble, an $80 million production that could have easily been a box office disaster. Instead, it became one of the surprise hits of 1999, grossing over $416 million worldwide and establishing a franchise that would span multiple films, spin-offs, and adaptations. The film's success was built on several key elements: the chemistry between its leads, the blend of horror and comedy, the spectacular visual effects, and the sheer sense of fun that permeated every frame. Brendan Fraser, who had previously been known primarily for comedic roles in films like Encino Man and George of the Jungle, emerged as a bona fide action star. His Rick O'Connell was a swashbuckling hero in the tradition of Indiana Jones, charming, resourceful, and capable of delivering both quips and punches with equal aplomb. Rachel Weisz, a classically trained actress with a background in theater and period dramas, brought intelligence and warmth to the role of Evelyn Carnahan, a librarian-turned-adventurer whose journey from bookish scholar to fearless heroine was one of the film's most satisfying arcs. Arnold Vosloo's Imhotep became one of the most memorable screen villains of the late 1990s, a tragic figure whose love for his mistress Angsu Naaman had driven him to commit unspeakable acts, resulting in his mummification and damnation. Vosloo brought a haunting intensity to the role, making Imhotep both terrifying and, in some strange way, sympathetic. The film's visual effects, provided by Industrial Light and Magic, were groundbreaking for their time. The digital representation of Imhotep, with his decaying flesh and supernatural abilities, set a new standard for CGI characters. The film's use of practical effects, including elaborate sets, pyrotechnics, and creature designs, grounded the fantasy elements in a tangible reality. The Mummy was a film that tapped into something primal in audiences: the love of adventure, the thrill of the supernatural, and the joy of watching characters we care about overcome impossible odds. It was a film that reminded us why we go to the movies in the first place. The sequel's burden. With the success of the original film, a sequel was inevitable. But sequels come with their own set of challenges. How do you recapture the magic of the original while avoiding the trap of simply repeating it? How do you expand the mythology without losing the intimacy that made the first film work? How do you satisfy audiences' expectations while still surprising them? Stephen Sommers, the writer-director of the original film, was determined to meet these challenges head-on. He had already been thinking about a sequel during the production of the first film, and he had a clear vision for where he wanted to take the franchise. He wanted to expand the scope of the story, to introduce new mythological elements, and to raise the stakes for the characters. Sommers' approach to the sequel was ambitious, perhaps overly so. He wanted to introduce the concept of the Scorpion King, a warrior who had made a pact with the god Anubis and been transformed into a monster. He wanted to explore the backstory of Evelyn O'Connell, revealing that she was the reincarnation of an ancient Egyptian princess. He wanted to introduce a new set of villains, led by a ruthless cult leader who sought to harness the power of the Scorpion King for his own purposes. And crucially, he wanted to bring back the entire cast of the original film: Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Oded Fehr, Arnold Vosloo, and Patricia Velasquez, while adding a new star in the form of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a professional wrestler who was making his feature film debut. The result was The Mummy Returns, a film that was bigger, bolder, and more expensive than its predecessor. It was a film that embraced the excesses of blockbuster filmmaking, delivering spectacle on a scale that was unprecedented for the franchise. And it was a film that, for all its flaws, captured the imagination of audiences around the world. The franchise ecosystem. The Mummy Returns was not just a standalone film, it was a key component of a larger franchise ecosystem. The film's success led to a spin-off film, The Scorpion King, which was released in 2002 and starred Dwayne Johnson in the title role. That film, in turn, spawned its own franchise, with 4 direct-to-video sequels released between 2008 and 2015. The main Mummy franchise continued with a third film, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, released in 2008. That film, which featured a new setting, China, and a new villain, the Dragon Emperor, played by Jet Li, was a commercial success but a critical disappointment. It also marked the end of the franchise's original run, with no further Mummy films released until the 2017 reboot starring Tom Cruise. But the franchise's influence extended beyond its own films. The Mummy films helped to revive the adventure genre, inspiring a new generation of filmmakers who sought to recapture the magic of classic adventure films like Raiders of the Lost Arkansas. The films also had a significant impact on popular culture, with their blend of action, horror, and comedy becoming a template for other films to follow. The prologue of The Mummy Returns is a masterclass in exposition, establishing the film's stakes and mythology in a matter of minutes. Set in 3067 BC, the prologue introduces us to Matthias of Akkad, a warrior who would become known throughout history as the Scorpion King. This sequence is not just a prologue, it is a foundation upon which the entire film is built. The Scorpion King's story is one of ambition and desperation. He is a warrior who has led his army to conquer the world, only to find himself defeated and exiled to the desert of Shamshir. His army is destroyed, his resources are exhausted, and he is facing a slow, agonizing death in the unforgiving desert. In his final moments, Matthias makes a desperate pact with Anubis, the god of death and judgment. He offers his soul in exchange for the power to defeat his enemies. Anubis, depicted as a capricious and dangerous deity, accepts this bargain. He conjures an oasis and a golden pyramid from the desert sands, and he gives Matthias an army of jackal-headed warriors that are unstoppable in their ferocity. Matthias uses this army to conquer Egypt, fulfilling his end of the bargain. But the gods always collect their debts. Once his conquest is complete, Anubis claims Matthias' soul, transforming him into a monstrous creature, a scorpion-human hybrid that will guard the golden pyramid for eternity. The jackal army returns to the underworld, awaiting the day when they would be summoned again by the bracelet of Anubis. This prologue serves multiple narrative functions. Establishing stakes, the prologue makes it clear that the Scorpion King is a threat of apocalyptic proportions. If he is awakened and the army of Anubis is summoned, the world will face destruction. This establishes the stakes for the entire film. Introducing the MacGuffin, the Bracelet of Anubis is introduced as a key artifact, one that can summon the army of Anubis. This bracelet will drive the plot, with various factions seeking to possess it. Creating mythological depth, the prologue expands the film's mythology, introducing the gods Anubis and Osiris and establishing the rules of the film's universe. This adds a layer of depth and complexity to the narrative, foreshadowing the climax. The prologue sets up the climactic battle between Rick O'Connell and the Scorpion King, a confrontation that was prophesied thousands of years before. The prologue also establishes the film's visual style. The use of golden sands, dramatic lighting, and epic scale creates a sense of grandeur and mythology. The sequence is a callback to the epic films of the 1950s and 1960s, with their sweeping landscapes and larger-than-life characters. The historical context. The prologue is set in 3067 BC, a time period that is both historical and mythological. The filmmakers drew from a range of sources, including actual Egyptian history, mythology, and the traditions of adventure cinema. Historically, Egypt in 3067 BC was in the pre-dynastic period, before the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. The concept of a warrior king who conquered Egypt is not historically accurate, but it serves the narrative by establishing a mythological framework. The depiction of Anubis as a capricious and dangerous deity is also a creative choice. In actual Egyptian mythology, Anubis was the god of death and the afterlife, a guardian of the dead who was generally benevolent. But the film's depiction of Anubis as a deity who makes a deal with a mortal is a common trope in adventure cinema, a way to create dramatic tension and moral complexity. The concept of the Scorpion King himself is rooted in a specific historical figure. Scorpion King is a title that appears in some Egyptian inscriptions, and the historical figure known as King Scorpion is believed to have been a pre-dynastic ruler of Egypt. The film takes this historical reference and expands it into a full mythological narrative. Part 2. The present-day NARATV The O'Connell Family, a new dynamic. The present-day narrative of the Mummy Returns begins in 1933 AD, 9 years after the events of the original film. The world has changed significantly in the intervening years. The Roaring Twenties have given way to the Great Depression, and the geopolitical landscape is shifting toward an inevitable world war. But for the O'Connell family, the biggest changes are personal. Rick and Evelyn have married, started a family, and settled into a comfortable life in London. They have an 8-year-old son, Alex, who has inherited his father's adventurous spirit and his mother's intellectual curiosity. The family dynamic is one of the film's greatest strengths. Rick is a man trying to leave his adventuring days behind, but he can't quite escape his past. Evelyn is a mother and wife, but she is also a scholar with a passion for Egyptology. Alex is a child who is eager to prove himself, to follow in his parents' footsteps. The film explores the tension between adventure and family, the way that the same instincts that made Rick and Evelyn successful treasure hunters can put their family at risk. Rick's determination to protect his family is admirable, but it can also lead him to take unnecessary risks. Evelyn's love for her family is fierce, but it can also make her reckless. The family dynamic also serves as a source of conflict and drama. When Alex puts on the bracelet of Anubis, he inadvertently sets off a chain of events that threatens the entire world. Rick and Evelyn must rescue their son, but they must also prevent the apocalypse. The family becomes the center of a cosmic drama, a microcosm of the larger conflict. The Bracelet of Anubis, the MacGuffin in action. The Bracelet of Anubis is the film's central MacGuffin, an artifact that drives the plot and connects the various narrative threads. It is a golden bracelet that, when worn, provides a map to the oasis of Ahm and the golden pyramid of the Scorpion King. But the bracelet is more than just a plot device. It is a symbol of the connection between the present and the past, a physical link between the mortal world and the realm of the gods. When Alex puts it on, he becomes part of a destiny that was set in motion 4,000 years ago. The bracelet also serves as a countdown timer, adding urgency to the narrative. If it is not removed before the coming of the Scorpion King, Alex will be killed, and the army of Anubis will be unleashed. This ticking clock element keeps the tension high throughout the film. The bracelet's design is significant. It is a golden band with ancient Egyptian motifs, including jackal heads and hieroglyphics. The bracelet is clearly of ancient origin, and its construction suggests a sophistication that is beyond human capabilities. It is an artifact of the gods, and its power is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The bracelet's ability to lock onto Alex's wrist is also significant. It is an active artifact, one that seeks out its wearer and refuses to be removed. This suggests that the bracelet has a will of its own, a purpose that it is determined to fulfill. The Cult of the Scorpion King, the villain's agenda. The Cult of the Scorpion King is the film's primary antagonist organization. Led by Baltas Hafez, a museum curator with a lust for power, the cult seeks to harness the power of the Scorpion King and use it to reshape the world. The cult's plan is complex and multi-layered. First, they must resurrect Imhotep, using the Book of the Dead and the blood of Evelyn O'Connell, who is, as we later discover, the reincarnation of Princess Nefertiri. Second, they must use Imhotep's power to defeat the Scorpion King, thereby claiming command of the army of Anubis. Third, they must use this army to reshape the world in their image. The cult's members are a diverse group. Hafez is the leader, a man driven by ambition and a belief in his own destiny. Lochna is the enforcer, a fearsome warrior who relishes violence. Milanais is the high priestess, a figure who serves as a vessel for the reincarnated soul of Anxunamen. The cult's plan is a classic deal with the devil narrative. They believe they can control forces that are beyond their comprehension, and they are willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve their goals. This hubris is their undoing, as they are ultimately destroyed by the very forces they sought to control. Chapter 24. Style and TCHNIQ, the use of CGI. The film's use of CGI is both a strength and a weakness. On one hand, the visual effects are impressive, creating a world that is rich and imaginative. The army of Anubis, the pygmy mummies, and the Scorpion King are all visually striking creations. On the other hand, the CGI can be unconvincing at times, breaking the illusion and reminding the audience that they are watching a digital creation. The use of CGI is most effective when it is integrated with practical effects. The scenes that combine live-action footage with digital elements are more convincing than those that rely solely on CGI. The action choreography. The action choreography is a highlight of the film. The fight scenes are well designed, with a combination of martial arts, swordplay, and gunplay. The actors' physical training is evident, and the choreography is fast and fluid. The action sequences are also well-paced, building tension and creating a sense of momentum. The film's non-stop action can be exhausting, but it is also exhilarating. The visual aesthetic. The film's visual aesthetic is distinctive, combining the exotic landscapes of Egypt with the stylized sets of a studio. The use of light and color is effective, creating a sense of atmosphere and mood. The production design is elaborate, with detailed sets and costumes. The film's aesthetic is rooted in the classic adventure films of the 1930s and 1940s, but it also incorporates elements of modern filmmaking. The narrative structure. The film's narrative structure is complex, with multiple plot lines and characters. Sommers balances these elements effectively, but some aspects of the narrative are less developed than others. The multiple timelines, the past and the present, are woven together effectively. The film's prologue establishes the stakes, and the present-day narrative connects to the past through the bracelet of Anubis and the reincarnation of the characters. Chapter 25. The unfulfilled Piotin tale missed opportunities. The Mummy Returns has significant unfulfilled potential. The film's ambitious mythology and its talented cast suggest a film that could have been even better than it is. One missed opportunity is the exploration of Evelyn's past life identity. The revelation that she is Nefertiri is a powerful moment, but it is rushed, and the implications are not fully explored. A more extended exploration of this theme could have added depth to the narrative. Another missed opportunity is the relationship between Imhotep and Anxunamen. Their tragic love story is compelling, but it is overshadowed by the action sequences. A more focused exploration of their relationship could have added emotional weight to the film. The lessons learned. Despite its flaws, The Mummy Returns offers valuable lessons for filmmakers. The film's emphasis on action and spectacle, while entertaining, can come at the expense of character development. A better balance between the two elements could have resulted in a more satisfying film. The film also demonstrates the importance of practical effects. While CGI is a valuable tool, it can never fully replace the physical presence of real elements. The film's most impressive sequences are those that combine both techniques. Book 10, The Technical ACHIVMENTSCHAPTR 26, Visual Effects INNOVATONS The Digital Characters. The visual effects team at ILM created several digital characters for the film, including Imhotep, the Pygmy Mummies, and the Scorpion King. Each character required a different approach, reflecting their different roles in the narrative. That Imhotep's digital representation was the most complex. The character needed to be realistic and expressive, with detailed facial features and fluid movement. The team used motion capture technology to capture Arnold Vosloo's performance, then translated it into the digital character. The Pygmy Mummies were also challenging. These small, skeleton-like creatures required detailed animation to bring them to life. The team studied the movement of real skeletons, then exaggerated the motion to create a sense of menace. The Scorpion King was the most controversial digital character. The team struggled to create a convincing representation of Dwayne Johnson, and the final result was criticized for its uncanny valley effect. The integration of live action and CGI. The integration of live action and CGI was a significant challenge. The team had to ensure that the digital elements matched the lighting and perspective of the live action footage. They used detailed camera tracking and motion capture technology to achieve this integration. The most successful integrations were those that combined practical and digital elements. The sequences with the army of Anubis, for example, used real actors in the foreground and digital warriors in the background. This created a sense of scale and realism. The practical effects. Despite the emphasis on CGI, the film also used practical effects. The pyrotechnics, the makeup, and the set design were all created using traditional techniques. These practical effects added a sense of physicality to the film, grounding the digital elements in reality. The use of practical effects was particularly effective in the action sequences. The explosions, the fight scenes, and the stunts all had a tactile quality that digital effects alone could not achieve. Chapter 27, Sound Design and Audio, the Atmospheric Soundscape. The sound design of The Mummy Returns is atmospheric and immersive. The soundscape includes the whispers of the desert wind, the roar of supernatural forces, and the clatter of ancient weapons. The sound design enhances the film's atmosphere, creating a sense of otherworldliness. The use of Egyptian musical elements, including traditional instrumentation and melodies, adds to the film's exotic feel. The Foley work. The Foley work in the film is detailed and effective. The sounds of footsteps, gunfire, and physical contact add to the film's realism, grounding the supernatural elements in a tangible reality. The mix and balance. The audio mix is well balanced, with dialogue, sound effects, and music each occupying their own space. The mix ensures that the dialogue is never lost in the action, and that the music enhances rather than overwhelms the scenes. The Mummy Returns stands as a significant entry in the action-adventure genre, a film that embraces spectacle and excess while exploring themes of love, sacrifice, and destiny. It is a film that has aged in some ways and aged well in others, a product of its time that still resonates with audiences today. The film's legacy is secure. It launched the career of Dwayne Johnson, it spawned a spin-off franchise, and it cemented the Mummy franchise as a significant player in the blockbuster landscape. It is a film that will continue to be watched and enjoyed for years to come. As we look to the future of the franchise, with a new film in development featuring the original stars, we can appreciate the role that The Mummy Returns played in shaping the franchise's identity. It is a film that has its flaws, but also its strengths, and it remains a beloved entry in the Mummy canon. Ultimately, The Mummy Returns is a testament to the power of cinematic escapism. It is a film that invites audiences to leave their troubles behind and embark on an adventure, a film that reminds us of the joy of losing ourselves in a world of gods and monsters, heroes and villains, love and sacrifice. And for that reason, it will always have a place in the hearts of its fans.